大家好，我是 Tyler， 中文名铁蛋儿，我来自美国的西北俄勒冈州波特兰市。我08年来到中国，一直到现在，快10年了。我今年34岁了，太老了。今天我要教大家从哪儿开始学中文好。如果你在那儿就是想学中文，但是你不知道从哪儿开始好啊，那你就来到这里地方。
铁蛋儿，英文名叫Tyler。
哎呀，你怎么都美化呀？
什么铁蛋儿？门大。
So today I'm here to share with you guys some tips as to where to begin. I've got 3 main topics I want to talk about today. That bit at the beginning in Chinese was not to do anything other than just demonstrate that I can speak Chinese. Been here for almost 10 years though. It's taken a long time. Came here in 2008, like I said. I had a tutor for about 1.5 years, and I also had a Chinese roommate, a guy, for about 1.5 years as well. And I was very serious about learning Chinese while I was working. Everyone has their way, right? Everyone learns different, and I respect that. All I am here to do today is to share my tips and tricks as to where to begin on your study adventure. So take everything with a grain of salt, and you can use bits of it and toss bits of it. You can think I'm an idiot on some things or whatever, but I'm here to just purely try to provide value. I sincerely hope that you guys do find a way that works for you and that you enjoy it. That's the most important thing, is you must enjoy it. Otherwise, you're not going to keep it up, right? Before you do anything else, you need to learn Pinyin. Pinyin is the official romanization system for standard Chinese in mainland China and to some extent in Taiwan. And as you all know, in Chinese, you're going to have to learn Chinese characters as well, or at least you should. You don't have to. Hope you do. But you need to start from Pinyin either way. Otherwise, you're not going to know how to say things, how they sound, right? You can't just read a Chinese character and you start from Pinyin. Now, it brings me to the second thing I'm going to talk to you about, which is tones. In standard Mandarin Chinese, there are 4 tones, but really 5 tones. Everybody says 4, but there are kind of 5 because there's this qingsheng. How do you say that in English? It's like a no tone. This is a huge tip from me. When I first came to China, I had some people try to tell me, tones aren't really important, Ty. Don't worry about it. Like, just go for it, man. You'll learn it along the way. You'll pick it up. Well, I'm here to tell you that those guys are wrong. Like, that is not the right way to begin. You need to start slow, and you need to get your tones down. Otherwise, you're going to pick up some really bad habits that would be very difficult to drop down the road. So I'm very fortunate to have had a teacher from the beginning that was really strict. She was a Nazi with me on tones. I hated her at the time, sometimes when we were having class, but I thank her for it now. Like, she was amazing. She was so strict on tones. Whenever I made a mistake, she was like, stop. Really, to a point where I thought it was too much, but it really helped me in the end. So get very serious with your tones from the beginning. Be really strict with yourself, even if it slows your learning down. Now, I know that learning and getting that 成就感, like that sense of achievement, is really important, but you gotta get those tones down. Otherwise, you're never gonna sound really like a Chinese person. Some people will think I'm an idiot or disagree with me completely on this, but I hope you guys take it seriously. Also, I'm so thankful that I was serious because, I don't know, just even after 2 or 3 years of learning Chinese back in 2010, 2011, I had quickly already excelled beyond those friends of mine that in the initial weeks of being in China were like, don't worry about it, Thai, just go for it. Don't worry about tones, they're not important. You know who you are. I just think that learning Chinese is very important if you're going to be living in China or working with Chinese people or trying to communicate with Chinese people in Chinese. Like, it's really important that you learn it and you learn it well. It's a way of respecting Chinese people and China. Yeah, so for the tones you've got, well, I say 5. A lot of places will say 4, but there's first tone, second tone, third tone, fourth tone, and then the last one, which I can't remember how to say it in English, but in Chinese it's qingsheng. And you can read more about tones. The first one is like this, it's flat, and they often use the example of MA, which is ma, because it's really easy to use MA in Pinyin, and for people that speak English or people that know the Roman alphabet can pronounce it, so like ma, that would be the first tone, ma. And then the second tone would be ma, goes up. They write it as up. And then the third tone would be ma, there's a dip in it, and then the fourth tone is like bam, and it's the longest one, ma. And then the qingsheng, that quiet tone that I was telling you about, the no tone, is like ma. That's just a little preview. That was a pretty bad example, I'm sorry, but that is a preview of what you're gonna get into. So where do you get these tones? Well, you can find these tones everywhere, online or in any Chinese book. At the beginning of the book, almost every book is gonna have these tones. But this brings me to my third point that I want to talk about today, and that is you must find a good teacher. This is not a language that you want to self-learn. Self-taught Chinese learners are really easy to spot because they don't sound Chinese at all. Good on them, like that's awesome. I'm sure there are some examples out there that will prove me wrong, but usually this is definitely not a language that you would want to learn on your own. For a native English speaker, if you want to teach yourself Spanish, if you want to tackle that on your own, I'm sure that would be much easier to accomplish than it would be to tackle Mandarin Chinese. I can't imagine what I would have been like without a teacher, but some people do it. The ones I've seen a lot of people try to do it and they never do a really good job, or they quit on it real quick because they can't get it, and so they don't have that sense of achievement to motivate them to keep going. So, gotta find a good teacher. Finding a good teacher is extremely difficult to do. That is not just finding a nice person. A good teacher and a bad teacher, there's a big separation between the two. I was very fortunate to have found an amazing teacher in my first 6 months. It was after 6 months of being in China. She kicked my butt, like I said, on tones and everything. She was kind of like a guy. She had a potty mouth. She made it fun for me. Like it was really cool. She taught me a lot of bad language from the beginning, which is probably a bad idea. Thanks, Emily. I loved her, and she made a great product in me, and also with another guy, very famous in China, Blair, who was on a very famous TV show in China. He and I were both her students at one point. So props to you, Emily. Thank you. As to what I think a good Chinese teacher is, I'm gonna save that for another video because I can speak for at least 10 minutes on an edited down video about what makes a good Chinese teacher. There's just so much that goes into that, and I would love to talk about it. And I'm going to in depth at a later date, promise. But for now, if you are in China, it's really easy to find a teacher. Not necessarily a good teacher, but it's very easy to find a teacher. But if you're not in China, maybe it's not so easy. But a couple resources could be things like italki and Chinese Pod. I'll leave those in links down below. They are amazing resources. Italki can be for free or paid for, and then Chinese Pod is paid for to find individual teachers. And Chinese Pod is going to be a bit more expensive, but they have very professional teachers. But if you're looking to go on the cheap, italki is going to be your game because you can just find language partners for free. So yeah, that's kind of it for today. That's to begin. This is a series, so you just gotta take it slow. These are just a few tips and tricks. I don't want to overwhelm you in one video, and I don't want to sit here and talk for an hour or 2 hours. So we'll take it one step at a time. To review, Pinyin, learn that romanization, tones, get those tones down so you can sound like a real Chinese person. Arr. And then find an amazing teacher. What we're gonna get into in the future is a lot of different things, what a good teacher is, or what I think a good teacher is, books that I would recommend to you, and some other resources for learning Chinese, and other tips and tricks as to how to learn Chinese or practice your Chinese. All those different fun things coming up. So that's it for today. If there's anything that you guys want me to talk more about, just leave it in a comment below. Thank you guys for your support. It's a new channel, so please give me some props, give me a like, and leave me a comment, share with your friends. I appreciate it. Peace!